right, what is going on, everybody? How you doing? Welcome to another episode of Talking Buffalo, your weekday daily driver for Buffalo sports talk and more. My name is Patrick Moran. Thank you very much for listening, for watching, however you are consuming this podcast. I do appreciate you. Quick shout out to our sponsors, Sunny Reds, 1841 Aber Road, Imperial Pizza, 1035 Aber Road, also a location, Main Street, near Canisius College. Two great places to go hang out, eat, drink, good vibes. Get out there and support them. They support this show, and I appreciate them very, very much. All right, folks, short Bills week here. Obviously, they're going to be playing again on Thursday night at Houston prime time. I'm joined, as usual, by my good friend over at SB Nation, Matt Warren. What's up, buddy? Yo, real quick, before we get into this, I always say it, we're recording Tuesday late morning. That's what Matt and I typically do because of our schedules for a Wednesday episode. I always say that because just in case something crazy happens to go down later on Tuesday, we don't address it. That's why. But also, in this case, you and I talked briefly off air before we started rolling the camera here. Twitter's been down, and I had a little bit of a panic attack, and I'm hyperbole with the panic attack thing, but on a serious note, it makes, when things happen, you realize sometimes just how addicted you might be to something. I was a little off this Tuesday morning without having Twitter to be able to go get my news and get all my promos and all that shit set up for the show, man. What's going on? How you doing? And you probably don't share that same sentiment that I do.
Well, it's interesting because, like, I was covering the Bills before Twitter existed, as were you.
Sure.
And it just makes us think back to, like, how we would just like have like bookmarks and tabs and just go through it, like open stuff and refresh it every 20 minutes or 10 minutes or 5 minutes if it was a newsy time of day. And like, we would just like keep hitting that reload button on, whether it was, BuffaloBills.com or ESPN, shout out Tim Graham back in the day or whatever, that's how we did the thing, and so it just it reminds you how useful social media can be when you have to go back into your old bag of tricks for a couple hours at least.
It does. And that's a good point. We crap on social media a lot, and a lot of it is very well deserved. We don't need to get into the spiel. It could be an awful cesspool, we all know that, but to your point, it is very resourceful. Now, a site like Buffalo Rumblings, which of course, you spearhead that and many others, but it's like, well, I love that because I can get everything, at least the links, and just there's a lot of stories on there if you're a Bills fan. Now, if that's Bills stuff, but if you're more than just Bills, if you're Sabres or just entertainment, whatever, Twitter is kind of like a one-place stop, or Blue Sky could be, depending on whatever you use now. Facebook at times too. But going back to the old school where you used to have to go through 20 different tabs to get to 20 different things, I have a whole list of websites that you'd have to run down to get all your news. Well, I feel like I could get a lot of that on social media. But anyway, it didn't work this morning. I was like, damn, well, because that's also how we usually connect to set up for this show. So that was weird. Anyway, all right, let's jump right into this. We're going to do what we do every week. Positional analysis. We're going to go through position by position, have a discussion about how they looked against Tampa. Hopefully we get into a little Houston stuff. Again, this is a short week, so by the time people are listening to this, they're going to be playing tomorrow night. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. I hate when the Bills play on Thursday night, by the way. Can't stand it. I can't stand it as a fan, and I cannot stand it as a content creator. I just hate it all around. Let's start here, okay? I've said this on the show a few times because it's just, to me, one of the more incredible factoids that I've seen with the Bills this entire season, and I want to get your reaction from this. No Dalton Kincaid, okay? Now, if you watch this show every Wednesday with Matt and I, we go through, and give our grades, and the tight ends, by far, have been the most consistently good graded position on this football team this entire season. So you go into a important game against a quality Tampa team. You have no Dalton Kincaid. You have Khalil Shakir, who has one catch for -3 yards in this game. No Keon Coleman, which we all know about, and we'll talk about a little bit later when we get to receivers. You turn the ball over 3 times. James Cook, the running game could not get going for 3 quarters. I think he had like around 20 yards or so after 3 quarters. So no Kincaid. Shakir's doing nothing. No Keon Coleman. You've turned the ball over 3 times in this football game. You can't get the running game going with James Cook. And you still score 44 points. And you win by 2 scores. How crazy of a game? Now, it was entertaining and fun, but just generally speaking, how crazy of a game was it for you especially when you factor in what I just told you?
It's interesting. It's almost like a Rorschach test for Bills fans. Like, everybody was able to see what they wanted to see in that game. Like, if you wanted to, take a crap on the defense, specifically the run defense, you had an opportunity to do that.
Sure.
If you wanted to, harp on turnovers or time of possession, you had an opportunity to do that. If you wanted to just talk about how awesome Josh Allen is, like, you have an opportunity to do that. So, like, it really did check a lot of boxes. Like, they kept having to come from behind. And so you can talk about the defense allowing scores and all this other stuff. And so it just was like, you could really pull whatever you want out of this game. And when we get into the positional stuff, like my biggest takeaway is that the Bills can win any game against any team they play this season. It reminds me of the Rams game last year, the other game which Josh Allen scored 3 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns, right? Like, except for the defense got a couple stops this year where the Rams just seemed unstoppable that day. They can win any game on any Sunday, but they can also lose any game or just because they have Josh Allen like as at the top of his game, but they can also lose every game of a season. Like, they can lose to the Miami Dolphins and any other crappy team if they have, some hiccups in a game. And so, like I said, this team over the last 2 weeks, especially, you can find whatever you want to talk about in the last 2 weeks, and you could pull out examples of it. So, like, I mean, there's like the whole thing about like stats can lie. Well, back-to-back games can lie apparently too, because like you can just figure out, like, if you want to crap on something, you can find it in the last 2 weeks, and if you want to celebrate something, you can find it in the last 2 weeks.
It's a great point. It's just been what a roller coaster. I mean, this team, they beat Baltimore. We know about that. They go to New York in week 2, which we were fooled into thinking the Jets were a legitimately really good team, and they hammer them. You start to get really high on this team, and then they struggle a lot. They lose 2 games. They stumble into a bye. They come back. They smack the shit out of Carolina on the road. They beat Kansas City at home. You're like, well, they're back. And then they go and they lay an egg and they lose to Miami, and you're like, well, we're in a lot of trouble. And you play Tampa, and like you said, this was the kind of proof. That's a great point you made. They can win any way. They can sling the ball. Chaos, Dr. Chaos was the Buffalo Bills offense. It was fun. We know they can run the football. They're capable of playing better defense. They gave up a lot of yards. They gave up a lot of plays, but they did make a couple stops. Sure, they could beat you. They could go to Kansas City and win in January, or Baltimore to win in January, which they might have to, by the way. But they could also go lose in Houston on Thursday night. It is really a funny, not funny. I guess funny is a bad word. It's a weird season with the Bills. I just brought up something, so I'd be remiss if I didn't say it. Matt, I am a little worried right now when you look at the standings, and it's not what Buffalo's doing wrong. Buffalo's 7-3. That Miami game, I still think is going to come back to haunt them at the end of the year, and I hope I'm wrong, obviously. But I feel like the way things are playing out, the Bills are on a collision course. So when we handled Baltimore in week 1, or we beat Kansas City a couple weeks ago, I'm like, all right, well, they're going to have to come to Orchard Park in January. Not necessarily the case, because I can see the Bills being the 5 seed right now. New England, unless they lose to a bad team or two, I think New England is in great shape right now to win the division. That's what the math says. So if that happens, the Bills very likely are that top wild card is the 5 seed, which means you go to travel to the 4 seed, which certainly looks like it's going to be the AFC North. I don't trust Pittsburgh right now. They're up in that division, but Aaron Rodgers is banged up. They play the Bills. They play Baltimore twice. The opportunity for the Ravens are right back in it. The Ravens basically control their own destiny right now to win the AFC North. So we could be looking at a Buffalo at Baltimore playoff matchup. Not that they can't beat them, but I'm saying you feel like we're kind of staring that in the face a little bit?
I do. And the the thing about the Patriots schedule coming up too is like they're playing the Bengals without Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow and Trey Hendrickson this week. Like they're just like they're having this golden path. Like how on earth is the New England Patriots 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 game win streak right now? But then they're playing the Bengals without all those guys. They're playing the Giants. Then they have a bye week before they play the Bills, so they get an extra week to prepare for Buffalo. Like they're going to be on a 10 or 11 game winning streak by the time they even face a team that's worth like losing to. And so for them, like it's just been like this paved road to the division title. And to their credit, they've taken advantage of it. The Bills obviously lost to the Dolphins. Like they can lose any of these games, but like I didn't see a 10-win run out of the Patriots this season. I don't think anyone did. So then they go the Bills and Ravens back to back. That's the Bills' best chance. The Bills have to run the table.
Yeah.
The Patriots lose to Baltimore and Buffalo, and then you set up the weird AFC East kind of round. Like Bills have to beat the Eagles on like Christmas weekend or whatever, like to make Week 18 even interesting. So I did not have the 10-game win streak from the Patriots on my bingo card this year.
My first take when I heard about the Jamar Chase suspension, which by the way, even before it was announced on Monday, I saw the video Sunday, and once I saw that they had evidence that he spit, I'm like, yep, he's going to get suspended. And he did. And it's deserved, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
But my first thought was what you just said. I think the Bills need to run the table to win the AFC East because obviously you got to beat New England when you play them. And then New England can lose at Baltimore. And there you go. That's how you win. If the Bills run the table and they just lose one other game, which at Baltimore is very possible, obviously, the Bills will win the AFC East. The Bills can run the table, too. I mean, they're capable of it. Like you just said 5 minutes ago, dude, they can beat any team, anywhere, anytime. They can also lose a game that they should win, like Houston on Thursday. So you can't look ahead. This team's not good enough to look ahead, but they are good enough that they could literally win all their games. And I think they might need to, unless New England somehow drops a game that they have no business losing. That's what it's going to be for the Bills.
And the Bills, because of their AFC East record now with the Dolphins loss, like the tiebreakers are not in Buffalo's favor. So I don't think 13-4 gets it done in the AFC East because I think the Patriots are going to be 13-4. Buffalo would have to be 14-3. And that's like, again, I keep saying it, mind-boggling. It is like I would not have expected that in a million years heading into the season.
Can you imagine the Bills potentially could go 13-4 and not win the AFC East? That's wild. And I agree with you. And you're right. That's why I said that Miami loss was so big.
Right. And then to draw probably the Ravens in Baltimore as your opening round opponent, you don't even get to go to I don't know, say like the NFC South winner is going to be the 4th place team in the NFC. Like you go to Tampa Bay or like Carolina. Like, I mean, no, it's the Ravens who, can freaking drop 40 points on you on any given day.
I'm already like in overthink mode too. Like, it's like everyone wants the Chargers to lose. Everyone wants the Chiefs to lose, of course. And so, as do I. Denver looks like they're going to win that division. But I'm like, do you really want the Chargers to keep losing? Because I might want the Chargers to be the 5 seed. Like if the Bills aren't going to win the AFC East, hey, lose that Week 18 game against the Jets. You know what I mean? Play you sit everybody, you lose that game somehow, some way or whatever. You might be better off being the 6 seed than the 5 seed the way things are shaping up. But anyway, we're projecting a lot into the future. Let's rewind back to this past week. Let's get to our positional analysis and grades. Let's start with the quarterback position. So Josh Allen goes 19 of 30, 317 yards, 357 total yards of offense because he had 40 rushing yards, 6 total touchdowns, 2 interceptions, one of them really, really bad. And he also took accountability. Of course he did after the game. He blamed himself for setting up the protection wrong on that play. The reason why he almost got sacked in the end zone to begin with. And then the other one on 4th down where, I put up a still clip and I watched the tape back and he knows it. Ty Johnson out to the flat, easy 25-yard completion if he looks that way. He didn't. He tried to hit Dawson Knox. Anyway, it was not perfect by any means, but he had 6 touchdowns and 357 total yards, man. I don't know how you want to approach this. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, 6 touchdowns buys you a heck of a lot. I'll tell you that. I can't give him an A plus, so I gave him an A.
Okay.
The two really, he made 2 really bad mistakes on the first interception. Just, I mean, yeah, I do think the protections thing was on him, and then the two-handed shovel pass is not the best option from your own end zone there, and he knows it. Like, I mean, tell me how like low you felt at that moment after like the Bucks caught that interception. Like I was like, oh, here we go again after that Dolphins game, all that stuff. I actually think that the 4th down interception to Dawson Knox was worse as far as like he didn't read the defense. He knew he was going to Dawson Knox from the very beginning, because if he had read the defense, he would have known that the middle of the field was being stacked by Buccaneers defenders, that it was a one high safety. The safety crashes down. Like at best they get the first down on that, but he knew that he went front right. He was locked in right from the beginning. And so that was just a bad play on his part. He sailed that 2-point conversion attempt too, and a couple other passes. So like there was still meat on the bone despite 6 freaking touchdowns. So like that tells you like, are we going to see like a 7 touchdown Josh Allen game at some point? Like, I mean, right? Are we like, so
it could happen.
I gave him an A, but super close to that A plus. Yeah.
I agree with you on the A. And I'll also say, so that first interception obviously was on the first drive, and it was relatively early in the second quarter with the failed 4th down conversion / second interception. And I've been honest about it all week. I'll be honest here too. At that moment, because I do a live reaction show with Joe from Queens after, and in that moment, I feel I write down like talking points throughout the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was like, I think the regression of Josh Allen back into a complete, utter turnover machine is real. And I just feel like his plays regress significantly from last year. That's how I felt in the moment. I think I might have tweeted that out, which if I did, I shouldn't have. I should know better. You could tweet out something in real time or post something on Blue Sky or Facebook or whatever, because that's how you feel in the moment. And then you go back and you look at 8 p.m. at some of your things that you were saying at the time, and it looks ridiculous. But it's like, that's what you felt in that moment. I felt like that in the moment. But, one of the more overplayed gifs, generally speaking, on social media is from Dumb and Dumber, where he'll say, just when you think you couldn't be any dumber, you go ahead and totally redeem yourself. Well, I mean, if there was ever a Josh Allen, or something being redeeming, it was Josh Allen after that. Because come on, man, 6 touchdowns, lights out, used his legs. He was looking to run at times. A couple runs were designed for him. Him buying time on that Sabres touchdown was just sweet. Him recognizing the blitz and hitting James Cook on that touchdown, he deserves a lot of credit for that. So you're right. I mean, there were mistakes out there. He did leave meat on the bone, to your point. But holy shit, man, when you make up for it and you have 6 touchdowns, how do you arrive at anything other than an A? And like, if that's not an A, what would it have taken? Would it take 7, 8 touchdowns for him to get an A? You know what I mean?
If he scored 7 touchdowns, I would have given him the A plus, even with the terrible interception.
Of course. So it was, I look at it this way. People can nitpick the mistakes, and that's very fair. But I actually, for the first time in a while, I actually leave that game more confident now in Josh Allen than I was before. I like the energy too. That's worth pointing out too. I thought he played with high energy. Just, he looked enthusiastic. He looked like he wanted to be out there, and maybe it's because they were, he scored 6 touchdowns. but it was, he was into the game.
Maybe it's because he knew where everyone was going to be that game too, and like he felt more confident in the pass catchers. Anthony Marino over at Buffalo Rumblings last week posted a Ted Lasso video.
Of course he did. He loves Ted Lasso.
In one of our articles. Yes, of course he did. But it was Roy Kent telling Jamie Tart that he needed to be a prick again, right? And like Ted Lasso had sanitized him. He's passing the ball. Like he's just not being the prick that they needed. And I mean, boy, was Josh Allen that guy that this weekend. Like, I'll take a couple interceptions if he's going to play like that every weekend. I don't need him to be, MVP, taking only 14 sacks, only 5 interceptions in a season. Cause like I keep saying, like if you're scoring 50 touchdowns, you're probably going to be better off even with the few extra interceptions than if you're scoring 40 touchdowns with, super conservative behind the line of scrimmage passes.
Last year it kind of felt like there was a point in the season where he went on a heater. It felt to me like maybe this is that week where the heater starts with Josh Allen. Tell you what, he's gonna have go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I listened to Jeremy White and like the Locked On guys after the game too.
Yeah.
And wait, I completely lost my train of thought. What I was trying to say. Oh shoot.
Well,
sorry.
Joe Marino, Jeremy White, Jerry Ostrowski. Well, it'll come back to you. But anyway, it'll come back to you. This could be the start. He's gonna have a long way to go. If you're thinking MVP, and I don't, you know what, Matt? I care about the AFC East. I do not give a single shit about MVP, but Matt Stafford is starting to really open up a little distance, I feel like, in the MVP race with the Rams. But anyway, an A for Josh Allen. I'm with you there. Running backs. A little tricky here. James Cook, 16 carries for only 48 yards. And a lot of them were in the last 4 minutes. When they had to run the ball, they actually were able to run the ball at the end of the game, but they struggled badly to get the running game going for most of this. 16 carries, 48 yards. Ty Johnson, 1 carry for 9 yards. Combined, 17 carries for 57 between the two running backs, just 3.4 yards per carry. Ray Davis did some good things, but that was special teams. We'll get to that a little bit later. But, man, this was fun to watch. Passing game, running backs, James Cook, 3 for 66 with a touchdown. Ty Johnson, 2 for 61 with a 52-yard touchdown. So 127 yards receiving on 5 catches and 2 scores for the running backs. What do you got?
Yeah, I gave them an A-. Like you said, if you look just at the rushing stats, they're not very good, frankly. But when you look at like all the yards from scrimmage, like 19 touches for 114 yards is 6 yards a touch for James Cook. That's really good. Plus he had the touchdown. Ty Johnson, 1 rush for 9 yards. Doesn't sound great. 2 touches for 19 yards. Doesn't sound great. Yeah. But when you add in that 52-yard catch and run, like that's pretty damn good. So, and plus like you said earlier, he was wide open on that 4th down play and could have gone for another 25. So I thought that they utilized the running backs really, really well, which again, isn't a knock on the running backs when they aren't used well, but they used them well in this game too. So it was coaching just as much as it was those guys. Ty Johnson had a fumble that I yelled very loudly about at the moment, but I'm glad he got it back, or we got it back. So anyway, the design pass plays are the big takeaway here.
A-. I'm with you there. I think that's very fair grade. Tell you what, let's take a real quick break because I don't want to cram the receivers in before the break because I feel like the receivers are going to be a conversation involving, of course, someone who actually did not even play in this game. So we'll be right back. You know what, Matt, before the break, you said something about Ty Johnson and a fumble. I'd be remiss if I didn't point out that, well, you know what, when 2 good teams play, sometimes it is about getting the breaks. But we're not really talking about this in positional analysis, report card grade type of context. But the Bills, that fumble going their way, Khalil Shakir getting stuffed on 3rd down, and a terrible, terrible face mask by that rookie Parrish, who played great in the game otherwise. Things went the Bills' way. You know what I mean? There was a penalty or two that's a little bit ticky-tacky that kind of benefited the Bills. So I just wanted to point that out, that there were certainly a handful of breaks that went the Bills' way in this game. All right, wide receivers. Do you want to talk about who didn't play first? I mean,
was there something that happened with the wide receivers this week?
Apparently so.
Let's talk about the receivers that did play first, because then we can pivot to the future.
Let's pretend for the next few minutes Keon Coleman turned an ankle, okay, and he didn't play. Tyrell Shavers, he belongs. 4 catches, 90 yards, and a touchdown. Man, he's been good, man. He's a good blocker. By the way, 6.6 separation score. Best of any receiver in the NFL. Well, I don't know unless I got beat on Monday, but as of Sunday, he had the most separation per route of any receiver in the NFL, man. So he did his job. Gabe Davis makes his return. 3 catches for 40 yards, including a nice 22-yarder over the middle. He did drop a touchdown. I mean, they did score on the drive, so it didn't hurt them. But, you got to point that out. It's high energy. I liked what I saw from him. Curtis Samuel, 2 catches for 19 yards, one of them for 11 yards, the hard way. He almost dropped. He almost blew it, and that was a big 3rd down conversion. He needed that. Anyway, 2 for 19. Palmer, 2 for 17. I'll tell you this. One of the things I saw watching the tape back, he could have had more. There were plays out there. That touchdown to James Cook could have just as easily went to Josh Palmer. He cooked that corner. So I liked what I saw. I thought he brought an element to them. Khalil Shakir. I brought this up at the beginning. 1 catch, -3 yards. Didn't hurt them, obviously. But anyway, those other receivers who didn't play. I turn it over to you.
Yeah, and Palmer was open on the first Josh Allen interception too. So yeah, Palmer had a nice game. I'm very glad he's back. We've been saying it for weeks that like they really need him back. And so he came back and had a good day, despite not, it wasn't a huge stat line, but certainly played well. If you had Terrell Shavers 490 and 1, like you're lying. Like I've nobody saw that coming. So that was really great. He was the biggest benefactor of Keon Coleman being out. Gabe Davis. I mean, truthfully, I put a $5 parlay on some touchdown scorers, and I put Gabe Davis on it on Thursday when he was still like plus $1 million before he was even called up. And so like when he dropped it, I lost my parlay. Well, like I didn't know that it was obviously the first quarter, but like, I would have won like a couple $100. That would have been a nice day, but it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It was the first quarter. Like I knew his level of Josh's level of trust with Gabe Davis was going to be, really comfortable. And it was like, you saw him force it into Davis on that 4th down play with immense trust. You saw him force him in on that slant in the end zone, another immense trust pass. Like, cause if that comes up, like that's another red zone interception. And so in this case, an end zone interception. So he trusts him a lot. And what they asked him to do in this game, I thought was perfect. They didn't ask him to go out and be a number 1 receiver because he's not that. And I really like what we saw from Gabe Davis. I liked the deep shot to Hardman. I know it didn't like land, but like
close.
Just trying. Yeah, it was close. And especially this, like, a lot of the folks that I was talking to both before, during, and after the game were talking about how bad the wind was. And so just getting it that close on some of those deep passes, like some people even like excused the Curtis Samuel, like double clutch catch to the fact that the wind was moving, or, the Bucs wide receiver having ones bounce off his hands and stuff like that, because it was kind of like knuckleballing through the air and stuff. And so like the fact that they had such a nice day passing the ball with the wind the way it was is really a testament to both Josh's arm strength, but also those wide receivers finding the space. That Terrell Shavers catch was a lot harder than it probably looked, in real time. Like he's fallen to the ground, like full hand extension. Like that's a 50-50 ball to me. I wouldn't have been mad if he had dropped it. I would have been like, oh, what a, like, but like, the Stevie Johnson, God, how could you do this catch to me, like, or do this to me catch? Like that was an easier catch than the one Shavers just made. So like we can talk about like the wide receivers had a really great day, in my opinion. I gave them an A- just because it wasn't like, the Shakir negative yardage and all of this other stuff, the Hardman thing, like, so I gave him an A-, but like it was their best day of the season, probably.
I would try to maybe nudge you up to an A for this game. Okay. With this group. We're close, but I think maybe a little bit better. I will say, because I can't help myself, that Hardman deep shot, when you watch it back on the film, and I get why, and I'm not mad about it. Dawson Knox was wide open over the middle. Josh Allen was going to Mikael Hardman no matter what on that play, which I'm good with. Hey, it was a statement. We got this fast guy. We're going deep to him. We're going to open up the offense. We're going to, we're going to make you guys defend those safeties back. You're not going to just bring them up like we've seen a lot this season. I got no issue with him going deep on that. I'm just saying that he had a guy opening, but he said, I'm going to Hardman no matter what. That's got nothing to do with my evaluation of the receivers. I'll say this too. Like if you're saying A- and I say A, if you're a box score savant, like say Joe from Queens is, I love dissing him on this show. It's one of my favorite things to do on this podcast. But anyway, the numbers aren't fantastic, but I feel like this unit, especially beyond the box score, did everything that you could ask for them. And and maybe more. We've talked about it here. Josh Palmer could have had more than 2 for 17. 2
Yeah.
for 17 doesn't look impressive, but
He
he
also
had
had 5 targets.
Yeah, and he could have had more. I'm telling you, he could have definitely had more.
Yeah.
Curtis Samuel, I know he almost dropped that ball, but he didn't. And also, there's other little things. Like that Ty Johnson screen that went for a touchdown.
Yeah.
Curtis Samuel had a key block on that play, as did Khalil Shakir. If both those guys don't do their job, Dawson Knox as well, but he's not a receiver. But those two guys, Samuel and Shakir, if they don't do their job on that play, that becomes a 3 or 4 yard gain. Instead, they get a touchdown.
Didn't Shavers go all the way down the field to make the very last block?
He was blocking. He ran all the way down to the end as well. But yeah, that play was set up. It was Shakir, Samuel, and Dawson Knox who all had blocks right at the point of attack and sprung Ty Johnson for what became a touchdown. That doesn't happen without 2 receivers on that play. I think Shakir also played hurt this game. You know what I mean? So he wasn't really moving around that well. But just the energy and watching the routes, the guys were getting open. The receivers were just running hard. Gabe Davis just flat out looked like he was hustling 100% every play, which kind of segues into Keon Coleman. That stuck out to me, Matt. I'm just telling you, man. Gabe Davis is right. He played 22. By the way, Joe B from The Athletic pointed this out. 22 snaps for Gabe Davis. The Bills averaged 9.9 yards per play when Gabe Davis was out there on the football field. He commands attention. He just does. Keon Coleman doesn't play. Let me start by getting your reaction when you found out on Saturday. And shout out again, Cover One. Want to make sure they get their credit because they're the ones who reported this first. Other outlets, just for whatever reason, didn't want, they didn't acknowledge it until Sunday when it became official. But anyway, Keon Coleman, a healthy scratch, missed another meeting. This is his 3rd known discipline from the Bills. Your reaction on that and just him not playing as it pertains to the game. I thought the Bills offense flat out was better without him anyway. What are your thoughts?
Well, when we found out on Saturday, I think it sent off the warning bells that it wasn't performance related.
Yeah.
At least to me. If it was performance related, it wouldn't have leaked out ahead of time. They would have taken it down to the wire with, say, a guy like Shakir being maybe dinged up or whatever it was. And so I had a pretty good feeling on Saturday when, I saw it because Tim Grammer tweeted it. So like that was, I had a pretty good feeling when that happened on Saturday that it was off the field related, and not performance based. And so that was disappointing to me for sure. The number of people that I think are defending Coleman about it was a little bit surprising to me as well. I know that like Bills fans are like, super loyal sometimes to a fault, but like he's letting the Bills down. Like, wouldn't you support the Bills because he's the one letting them down? I don't know. It just felt like weird to see some of the fan backlash on that and like people defending Coleman. Like it's the most basic thing of having a job in your 20s is just showing up on time. And so that just, I'm glad to hear what like Deion Dawkins said after the game. He was very direct in his comments.
Yeah.
And if he's saying that in public, he's surely saying the same thing, if not more, behind the scenes. And so I was glad to hear what Deion Dawkins said after the game. I do think he's going to be back in the lineup as soon as this week. But his role's certainly going to be different going forward. He's not going to be the 80%, 85% wide receiver anymore, but I do think he's going to be back in the lineup for them.
Okay. Let me say this. Because I want to get to other positions too. I could park right now and have a half-hour Keon Coleman conversation very easily. I think Gabe Davis is straight up better than Keon Coleman. That's where I'm going to start.
I agree with you.
I think he's a better football player. It's not even just that he's a better football player. I think he makes Josh Allen a better quarterback. I don't know that Keon Coleman makes Josh Allen a better quarterback. I think it was, God, I apologize. I don't like to steal a take and not credit the person who came up with it, but I cannot remember. But it was someone on Twitter, a well-respected football guy, who said the issue with Keon Coleman, beyond him being, just completely immature right now, is it's just not a good stylistic fit for Josh Allen. Josh Allen does not like to throw low percentage back shoulder fades. It's not what he wants to do. And it's kind of what you got to do. Contested balls, 50-50 balls, low sideline fades. Just look at the offense without him this week. I mean, it speaks, the results speak for themselves. Now, I do think Josh Palmer being out there helped open things up. But guess what? Dalton Kincaid wasn't out there, too. And Khalil Shakir was very much hampered in this football game. The offense is just better, I feel like, without him. I don't agree with you about him being back Thursday night. Could it happen? Yes. And if it does, I do not, you said, and you said this, I don't want to see him anything near 71 snaps again. Maybe he's in a package. Maybe he's in that, 3 tight end jumbo, 1 wide receiver package. Although Tyrell Shavers has been doing that right now. So I guess what I'm going to ask you is this. Okay, he's in the lineup. Let's assume Curtis Samuel, which would be an easy assumption because the dude's always hurt. He missed practice on Monday with the neck and, I don't know, ribs, ankle. Who the hell knows at this point? There's so many things with him. But if he doesn't play, and Hardman is definitely not going to play. I can tell you that right now. He's not playing. He's got a calf. He's going to be out for some time. He's a 3 or 4 snap a game guy and a kick returner. You're probably going to see Ray Davis and Ty Johnson back there returning kicks if Samuel can't go. Let's assume, for the sake of this discussion, Matt, Samuel can't go on Thursday. You're going to go Keon Coleman, whereas I'm saying Elijah Moore, I think, is going to be the guy that they play with. Gabe Davis getting elevated. And unless Gabe's sore, which we don't know. They don't have to report anything because he's on the practice squad still. So if he's limited or anything, they don't need to report that. But if he's good, healthy, and he can play, I think they're going to go to Elijah Moore instead of Keon. Why do you think Keon's going to play this week?
I just don't think that you give up on your second round pick after a season and a half without giving him an opportunity to earn it back. And so, obviously we don't know if he's going to show up to meetings on time this week, but I don't think you throw him in a pit without giving him a ladder to climb out of it, And so that's fair. Just kind of where I'm at. Like I said, as soon as this week, I don't know if it's going to be Thursday. It could be after the bye. It could be they've laid out 5 steps that he has to take before he gets back on the field. And I don't know if it's even the coaches at this point. I don't know if it's going to be player led. There's so many different things that go into this that we don't know about. Are there the leaders on the team going to be like, no, he has to earn it back doing this, 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 and this, not just with walkthroughs on this short week. And so it definitely could be, in the future that he comes back, but I don't think there's any doubt that he's going to be back in the lineup in 2025 and be part of this roster. Well, unless they can find a trade partner for him this offseason, I think he's going to be on this roster in 2026 too.
I don't agree with that. I think he will be on another roster in 2026, and I'm growing confident of that.
We'll talk more about that later.
If Sean McDermott is the head coach in 2026, I am growing confident that he'll be on another roster. I agree with you. Where I would push back, though, is he is a second-year guy. You do not want to give up on a second-year, second-round guy, especially when you let the Kansas City Chiefs get their guy and you passed on Ladd McConkey. You're Brandon Beane. You got pride. You got some ego. You don't want your guy to be a bust. You want to give him an opportunity at this point. That is very fair. But what were we just talking about maybe 20 minutes or so ago? The Bills probably need to win out if they're going to win the AFC East. First and foremost, it's about putting your best team on the field. And I do not think Keon Coleman is better than any wide receiver that is playing on this football team right now. I just don't. Is he a different type of receiver than Samuel and Moore? Yes, but I think they need a Samuel or Moore type receiver than they need a Keon Coleman type if you got Gabe Davis and Tyrell Shavers both on the field. To me, Gabe Davis, Keon Coleman, Tyrell Shavers on the field at the same time, that's not what I want to see. I don't think that's what's best for this offense either. So,
are we talking about having too many NFL-worthy receivers right now? Is that the conversation?
I'm talking about too many redundant type of skill set receivers. Gabe Davis and Keon Coleman really don't need to be on the field at the same time. Gabe Davis is not the greatest separator in the world. I like Gabe. He runs harder. I liked his speed, but that dude ain't going to make his living, gaining separation.
I know. And Joe Biscaglia has been banging this drum for at least a couple weeks now. He wants to see Keon Coleman in the slot with Gabe Davis on the outside. And I'd be interested in that.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, Gabe Davis just played how many snaps? He was the lowest snap count on the team. I think it was 40% of the snaps.
Yeah, but they were close, though.
Yeah, Yes, it was. He's still coming off that injury. Like you said, who knows how sore he's going to be walking through the facility this week. So like there's a place where they're both active and they both get X receiver snaps, and Coleman plays some in the slot as well. But like I said earlier, he's not going to go back to like being an 85 or 90% wide receiver for this team.
Last Keon Coleman thing I'll say. I felt this way before when the news came out. All week long, I was like, all right, well, I know Kincaid's not playing. You talked about the big slot. This felt like a good week in the passing game to get Keon Coleman more slot reps. Now you look into Thursday, and you Gabe Davis may be sore. Kincaid's not going to play again this week. That's an unofficial certainty, I can tell you that. If he's going to play and you're going to bring him back, you just disciplined him. He just sat out a game. Did he learn? He'll be hungry. He should be hungry anyway. This is the week to do it. This game against Houston. Because, again, you got Shakir banged up. Who knows if Samuel's even going to play? Who knows what level of, how much Gabe Davis is going to be able to give you? And Dalton Kincaid's not playing. Like, you talk about the need for Keon Coleman. If you're going to have a need for him, it feels like this week. If you don't do it this week, you get 10 days rest. Hopefully, knock on wood, Dalton Kincaid's back. Shakir's healthier. Gabe Davis is stronger, and he's going to get signed to the 53 at some point. That's a formality.
I think so, yes.
100%. If he don't play this week, you might not see him again until multiple injuries dictate it. So I think it's this Thursday, or it's going to be a wait, a significant wait potentially for Keon. Let's get to
the Hardman injury too. Like they're going to be down a wide receiver with Hardman out too if he can't go.
Can you imagine if Samuel can't go and they still don't play Keon Coleman on Thursday? He's another healthy and active again on Thursday. That's an issue. That's a problem. That's a problem that I don't know you come back from. So,
and we haven't talked about this yet, and I didn't talk to you about it ahead of time either. But like, I at least want to give Coleman a little bit of credit for talking to reporters in the tunnel after the game too. Like, he didn't have to do that as an inactive player. He doesn't have to talk to reporters after the game, but he did. His answers were not great, but not terrible. Like, but at least he, somewhat faced the music. I know some people were questioning him ahead of the game because Thad Brown caught him doing this like dance moves on the sideline in pregame and stuff. He doesn't care at all. And I'm just like, I don't know. Like, he's known about this since Friday. He's had a lot more time to process it than a lot of us have. So
Look, no matter how you feel about his present and his future with this team, one thing I think you and I and everybody who's listening should be able to agree on is he's not good enough to get away with this shit. You want to be late to meetings. You want to piss some people off. You want an angry head coach. You better be a better football player. If this is James Cook being a dick, James Cook's going to get away with it because he's James Cook. Keon Coleman's not. He doesn't have that. He ain't got it like that. You know what I mean? So he better grow up and he better learn because
it's like Michael Irvin.
yeah, exactly. I don't think he's going to be long for Buffalo, and I've been pretty open about it. I don't care where he goes next. It's going to be more of the same if he doesn't grow up because he's not good enough right now to get away with this shit. Anyway, let's get to a lot more positions here. Some of these won't take that long. Tight end, the most consistently well-graded position all season on this show with Matt. No Dalton Kincaid. This is a pretty easy one. Dawson Knox, 1 catch for 23 yards. Latu got called up from the practice squad and 1 catch for 4 yards, primarily special teams, but he played a decent amount of snaps. Anyway, I don't know. Do you got anything for tight ends?
Kalecki Latu's first NFL catch. Good for him. I gave them an A. Again, we talked about trust with Gabe Davis, and CBS talked about it several times that Josh Allen trusts Dawson Knox with his life. He said it like they went all hyperbolic about it on the broadcast. And then on that 4th down, he was so locked in on Knox that he threw an interception. So, if we're talking about trust in this passing game, obviously Josh Allen has it for Dawson Knox. I gave them an A. I thought Knox was going to score on that play too, where he took it down, whatever, inside the 5 or whatever.
I'm going to give him a B+ because Dawson Knox slipped on that play that you're talking about, which is so funny. I watched it with my son. We're like, yeah, we knew he was going to fall. But anyway, they were fine. But what role did they need to have in this game? The running backs had 127 yards receiving, and the wide receivers did their thing. They were fine. They blocked pretty well. I know Dawson Knox, I mentioned it, the Ty Johnson touchdown. Also, and this is more of a Joe Brady thing, but Dawson Knox was in the backfield as a running back blocker on the James Cook touchdown. Or no, it was the Curtis Samuel third down conversion because they blitzed two guys in the B gap. And yards per pass on Twitter pointed that out. I thought it was a brilliant observation. And Joe Brady saw it coming. This is more of a Joe Brady thing. But anyway, Dawson Knox
they're keeping a lot more guys back. They aren't blocking with 5 guys anymore. They're keeping 6 or 7 in sometimes now too. And like that is not a Joe Brady style of offense. And so it obviously, I think it does have to do with the fact that they were a little bit outclassed on that first series or two with setting protections. And so keeping a guy in allows you to be wrong on some of those a time or two.
Yep. Offensive line. All right. So on the ground, the Bills averaged 4.2 yards per carry. Josh Allen officially did not get sacked in this game. Obviously, there was some pressure, which he uses legs on more than once. Mostly successful. But anyway, offensive line.
I gave them an A. Again, I think that the protection thing was probably more on Allen, and he certainly took credit for that or blame for that after the game. Those simulated pressures were really confusing, and I'm glad the Bills adjusted to it, to your point earlier. 2 false starts by Deion Dawkins. You have to wonder if he's going through something that's making him jumpier than normal. Like he doesn't feel like he can overcome something. I don't really know. I don't think it was enough to take away from a really solid day from the offensive line, so I gave them an A.
Okay, I'm fine with that. He scored 44 points. Yeah, that false start, by the way, it was 3rd and 6, and it became 3rd and 11. The Bills converted anyway, but yeah, you don't want to see that. All in all, I'm with you there. I agree. I don't really have anything to add. All right, other side of the ball, defensive tackle. Deon Walker had 5 tackles, and PFF gave him the highest grade of anybody on the defense in the game. I'm looking it up to make sure. 84.6. I didn't see that. I don't know. I mean, he did have a couple plays. He was all right. Daquan Jones, honestly, I thought he had a pretty shitty game. However, he did have 4 tackles, and he also had an anxiety-saving sack because you were probably, like me and probably everybody else, were like, Tampa's scoring a touchdown, and you're starting to think about the onside kick. Could we get buffaloed in a Billsy kind of way at the end? I was thinking that. Daquan Jones saved us that nightmare scenario with a sack and a forced fumble. So you got to give him a lot of credit for that. Quiet day for Ogunjobi, for Jordan Phillips. TJ Sanders really did nothing. Now he also played edge a lot in this game. The Bills, we'll get to them in a second. The depth at defensive end is just bad right now, man. Anyway, all right, so that's what you got, defensive tackle.
Yeah, they're still struggling very much. Daquan Jones popped between 1 tech and 3 tech all game, which is why TJ Sanders was kicking out to defensive end. I think Sanders' first 15 snaps were at defensive end in this game, which definitely not why they drafted him, but we'll talk about defensive ends in a second. Deon Walker is still inconsistent, but when he makes a play, man, does he make a play, and it's so fun to watch. Young player. I'm so excited for his future, and
yes.
I'm not going to get tired of saying it this season, so I'm just going to keep saying it. Interestingly, you talked about Jordan Phillips and Larry Ogunjobi not doing, not standing out. Phillips's role is shrinking, week by week, and so he's kind of falling back to what we were expecting, which is that practice squad defensive tackle that's kind of like the borderline roster guy. So it wouldn't surprise me at all to see him get released at some point and then just added back to the practice squad, break glass in case of emergency thing. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I think he was only on the field for 23% of snaps or something like that. And so, that's kind of the role we never imagined that Jordan Poyer and Daquan and Jordan Phillips were going to be playing lots of meaningful snaps for this team the entire season. And so it just goes to show the depth is obviously an issue. And so I gave them a D+. Like we said, that Daquan Jones play was really great. The Deon Walker had some flashy plays, but overall they just got, handled, I think.
Just an observation, and he didn't even play in this game. He's hurt. Fedarian Mathis.
Yeah.
I don't know why they got 5 defensive tackles without him. I'm wondering, why is he not on IR? Why didn't they put him on IR or even cut him? I haven't seen anything from Fedarian Mathis that shows me that he should be on this roster anyway, if we're being completely honest, man. Joe Marino cut up a clip of his first game where he's just getting pushed literally all over the field. Anyway, he didn't play in this game. It's got nothing to do with it. I'm with you on Deion Walker. Look, right now he's flash. When he gets more consistent, and I think he will, he's going to be a star. I think Deion Walker is going to be a stud for this football team. I'd like to see TJ Sanders do a little more, man. But look, man, he just came back. I don't know. He was like that early in the year, too. I just think maybe you're going to have to look in the year, too. The Cole Bishop route, hey, let's not get two down on a guy, a second-round guy too early. He's working hard. He'll get there. He's not there now, though.
Yeah, and he's played defensive end for 20 snaps in this game. So,
certainly not.
Exactly. They're asking a lot of him as that rotational piece, on the back end of the game day roster. And so, I don't necessarily have hope that he's going to develop into some awesome guy. Just if Deion Walker just stays like this the rest of his career and does flashes and stuff like that, I think most people will be okay with that pick too. So the defensive tackles were fine in this game. I gave him a D+ because they just got run all over, and we really need to develop a better run plan. But I don't really blame the defensive tackles all that much for this.
Okay,
they're playing to what we thought they were going to play to.
That's fair. There's nobody who's they're playing. They are what I thought they were. Okay,
yes, exactly.
I don't know that there's any room for. Unless Deion Walker could get a little more consistent, this is what we're gonna be having the same conversation every week, man, where it's hopefully Deion Walker or Jones makes an impact play or two to make up for a general just lack of productive play at that position. I don't see anything from Ogunjobi or Phillips or Mathis or Sanders right now that's really gonna help this team. All right, edge. They should be helping this team more than he did in this game, so I'm kind of leaning you a little bit here. Joey Bosa, 2 pressures on 24 pass rushes. And I'm going to tell you right now, I've said it a couple times. I'll say it one more time. He was doo-doo this week, man. I used the word doo-doo. He was running around like he had doo-doo stuck in him. He was so slow. I used the mall walker when you walk real fast at the mall kind of comparison. I thought he was awful in this game. He got caught inside so many times. Just had a personal foul penalty that was stupid on that last drive before the DeQuan sack. I thought he was garbage in this game. That's my take. Greg Rizzo, 2 pressures on 22 pass rushes. Highlight of the game for him was a blocked field goal, which didn't count. A.J. Epinesa did not have a single quarterback pressure on 11 opportunities. Didn't really see anything from Javon Sullivan. TJ Sanders, we talked about, didn't really see anything there from him as well. I don't know, man. I thought this was a position of garbage in this game. Maybe you disagree with me.
Well, and then Solomon had that really dumb penalty on the delay of game call too. So, I mean, they certainly had some room for improvement in this game. I think Joey Bosa is still really struggling with that wrist injury. When he came out without it taped up in the club, I was like, oh, good. We're going to see Joey Bosa's back. And then it looked like he was favoring it really the entire game. He wasn't doing the normal hand stuff that he does. And so, he may have been slow. That has nothing to do with his wrist, but I do think that he was still struggling with that wrist injury. And hopefully he can get 100% healthy, not by Thursday, but by the following week, having the mini bye. Yeah. Rousseau, I thought played okay. I did put TJ Sanders down here on DE because he played 15 snaps. And not Daquan, because Daquan was hopping back and forth between 1 tech and 3 tech. I think in the second half, they took Javon Solomon really off the field after that dumb penalty. I don't think it was because of the penalty. I think it was just because he was ineffective. And they ran just kind of a different pass rush look in the second half. They ran 3 down linemen and Dorian Williams over the top as a spy. Instead of Javon Solomon on the field rushing. And so they didn't necessarily have to focus on their pass rush lanes. They could just go after the quarterback and then have Dorian Williams clean it up. And so we'll talk about linebackers next, but I do think that was a good wrinkle that they threw in the second half, and something that I'm glad that they have in their arsenal going forward, because the defensive ends, to your point, just when they're rushing in their rush lanes, they have not been generating enough pressure.
I am, well, I'll say this about Greg Rizzo. You say he's all right. I'm sorry, and maybe it's not his fault, but my expectation, and maybe unfairly so, but for the next 3 years is going to be, I need a little more than all right for $20 million a year. I don't need him to be Myles Garrett or Max Crosby, but he needs to be a factor, and he wasn't to me. And Bosa, look, the risk, yes, he's also playing too many snaps. So that's not his fault.
They really miss Michael Hoyt, man. And we knew that as soon as Hoyt got hurt. Like, we're like, oh, damn it. They really needed him there. He had so much juice, so much pass rush. They don't have Landon Jackson right now. Not that I think he would be doing, anything great, but like, they just don't have, that's why they're playing Daquan Jones and TJ Sanders out there. They just don't have a lot of great options right now.
Yep. The fact that I think Joey Bosa stinks for this game only, not for the season, he stunk in this game, concerns me because it made me realize that, hey, the defensive tackle, at least they got quantity there. You know what I mean? You just keep throwing healthy bodies out there. Zion Logue could be a possibility too if you absolutely need them. You might get Ed Oliver back in the playoffs, so obviously that would be fantastic. Edge, low key, if you could go back to 10 days ago, man, I wish the Bills could have traded for a defensive edge, even if it's just a depth guy.
We talked about it.
You might be seeing, all right, I don't know this for informationally, but you might be seeing Casey Toohill back in a Buffalo Bills uniform, or Kingsley Jonathan, even though they cut him last week, one day after signing him to the practice squad. They got to add somebody, because you cannot keep rolling out Daquan Jones or TJ Sanders in a defensive edge role. You can't keep doing that. Javon Sullivan is just not going to give you what you need. He is a third down situational pass rusher who's actually playing inside more than he's playing outside right now in that sub package that they have. And yes, Michael Hoyt, a huge injury loss, but the Bills knew that before the trade deadline. Landon Jackson, who I thought nothing of and I shouldn't say I couldn't care that he got hurt. That sucks. But I couldn't care in terms of the roster for this year.
Yeah.
Suddenly, I wish they had Landon Jackson, because they need that fourth defensive edge. You got to get Bosa off the field. You got to have a rotation. They don't have a rotation. They got 3 guys and then someone who's just hogging up useless reps out there as that fourth defensive edge right now. So, man, you got to pray that maybe somebody gets waived later in the season who clears waivers that you can get. Or again, am I advocating Casey Toohill on Talking Buffalo right now? Oh my God, what are we doing here?
It's either that or like put Matt Milano up on the line. Like, and I'm not the guy that's going to like suggest off the wall bullshit, like just to say like random takes, but like Matt Milano's not been good in coverage. Like he's probably not going to get on the field in like a pass, like drop situation. Like they could do worse than putting him up on the line and having him go after the quarterback.
You're right. Let's talk linebackers, since you just brought on Matt Milano here. Terrell Bernard, I will push back on anyone who says that he sucked in this game. I thought he was good. I thought he was really good, actually. 11 tackles. If you're listening to the show, I just laughed because Matt just struck me off. 11 tackles, 2 for a loss, 2 passes defended. He was active. He was in the backfield a lot. He also looked slow a couple times, like that one where Baker Mayfield made him look really, really slow. That was bad. I think he's playing through an ankle injury. He all but said, I'm still hurt and I'm trying to play through it. He said that indirectly.
He did.
After the game. Anyway, I could live with that, Terrell Bernard. I thought he played well. Matt Milano, no. Matt Milano, I cannot believe I don't know what happened to him during this season. The pack, maybe it killed his spirit, it killed his conditioning, killed his confidence, but he is not a starting linebacker in the NFL right now anymore. He was terrible in this game. Terrible against the run, terrible at angles. He doesn't look as fast. He got cooked in coverage a couple times in this football game, he didn't play a lot in coverage, but when he was out there, Tampa, I'll tell you what, you watch this film, Tampa really saw some things in the Bills defense and exposed them. Like, they knew Joey Bosa would crash a few times on a few of their calls. They also got Tucker on the flat, knowing that Milano was going to be responsible for him and that he wouldn't be able to get there. One of them went for a touchdown. So Matt Milano, no. Shaq Thompson, who was a full participant in practice on Monday, I thought it might happen. I would be stunned if Shaq Thompson does not start alongside Terrell Bernard on Thursday if he's good to go. Milano could be that third linebacker. You can find a way to get him on the field a little bit, but he shouldn't be starting. Dorian Williams had 7 tackles. No, that was some of those special teams. And he also was an interior pass rusher as well this game. So it's really tough to judge him as a linebacker, but whatever. He is a linebacker. What do you think about linebacker? And I'm surprised you don't agree with me about Terrell Bernard.
Well, just go back. I gave the defensive ends a C plus. I don't think I actually said that. I gave the linebackers a C in this game. I do think it was Terrell Bernard's best game of the season, probably. And so that's, I mean, good, certainly going forward. But watching him chase after Baker Mayfield was hard, man. Like
That's not pretty.
So I was like, man, he looks like he's running in cement. And yes, he is still hurt. I know he did not lean on that as an excuse after the game, but at least like, I don't know, hinted at it. So like to his credit, I don't think he's coming off the field anytime soon. So people that are saying that they need to, I don't know. I don't know who you'd put on the field. I don't think that your two best linebackers right now are Terrell Bernard and Dorian Williams or something like that. So like, I don't know. Sorry, I got on a tangent there. I do think Matt Milano.
I like it.
I do think Matt Milano is probably coming off the field for Shaq Thompson whenever Thompson is healthy. So if that's Thursday against the Texans, that's Thursday against the Texans. Milano can be like in the 3 linebacker packages on rundowns, things like that. But I just don't see him in a passing situation anymore, which I'm stunned. That used to be what he was so good at. He had great instincts. And the injuries that he suffered in the last couple seasons haven't been leg related since that broken leg, in London. Like it's bicep, it's, pec, it's like all these other, like it shouldn't affect his running ability and his instincts. And so it's just been, like I said, a stunning downfall for Matt Milano. In training camp, I was thinking like, man, maybe they do have another year out of him in 2026, but like, no, definitely not. So anyway, that was a long-winded way of saying that I gave them a C. I do like the change that they made with Dorian Williams. Like I said, acting as that Nickolish player where he's spying Baker Mayfield, so that those 3 down linemen can like just get after him and not worry about run contain. So I like that change that they made. But I just, they're not doing well enough in run support and run fits. It's just, I don't know. It's hard because like, I love Matt Milano. Like you watch him grow up, like turn into an all pro. And like I said, it's not leg injuries that he's dealing with. So like to see him struggle so much in pass situations, it's been very hard for me.
Matt Milano to me is like a boxer that I loved his career. I followed his career. And at some point of a boxer's career, they just lose that hand speed. They're just not the same fighter anymore. They're a shell of what they are. And you watch them in the ring and they get beat up. And it happens to the best of them too. You stick around too long. And he's not old, but it kind of feels like he's not, but it feels like it. He feels like he is. And now you're watching him almost like borderline punch drunk in the ring, getting beat up. It's tough to watch. We got about 15 minutes left before we have to get out of here. I want to take a real quick break, come back. We'll fly through these other positions, and hopefully we can get a couple minutes talking about Houston as well. Right before the break, you said that you had forgotten to give your grade for the defensive edge guys, which we spent a lot of time talking about. That and Kiana should have known that was coming. You said a C or a C plus. Might be our biggest disagreement of the entire season because I think they got an F as far as I'm concerned. I don't think anybody did anything to warrant anything other than an F on there. So I had to throw that out there, talk my shit a little bit. Corner. Well, we'll get through these quick. I got Christian Benford. Well, this might have been his best game of the season. He also shadowed. He was following Ibuka the whole game. I thought he was effective. He looked fast. Looked like the Christian Benford that I've seen the last couple of years. Trey White was fine. He was fine. Not tested much. He was fine. Max Harrison was fine. Those guys didn't get tested pretty much at all, and they split their reps pretty much. They went back to a platoon. Teron Johnson was kind of and Cam Lewis was fine. He had a nice pass breakup late in the game, too, on third down as well. What do you think about the corners?
Yeah, Jamarcus Ingram inactive this game. So that was an interesting new thing as well. The Bucs receivers did not have a good day. I gave the cornerbacks a B. I do think part of that was the wind. Like I said earlier when we were talking about our wide receivers, I still am wondering when it's going to be Maxwell Hairston time, but like you said, Trey White wasn't a liability in this game, so they don't necessarily need to go to Max Harrison in the lineup 100% of the time right now.
I agree. We grade? What'd you give?
B.
B? I'm with that. Safety. Cole Bishop. Man, what a beautiful interception it was. I saw a stat. He's only his target 32.2 passer rating when targeting Cole Bishop. Man, what a stud. We and Joe kind of stumbled into this take on Sunday night's live show. It's like Cole Bishop went from, why is he still starting? You can't give up on him. That's why it's too early we're 11 games in. He's probably the Bills defensive MVP for the season. If we were doing an award show right now and I said, who's the Bills defensive MVP? You'd probably say Cole Bishop. So he did his thing again. Jordan Poyer's speed got exposed a couple times. Getting around that, but he also had 15 tackles, a couple physical plays. I actually liked his game. Going back and watching the tape. What do you think?
Yeah, I gave them a B+. Jordan Poyer still being serviceable. He led the team in tackles. I mean,
yeah,
it's not bad for a guy we thought was going to spend the entire season on the practice squad. So, he's, again, they're on their fifth safety this year. So when you come, fifth. Yeah, no, fifth. They've used 5 safeties this year in meaningful snaps. And so, they're doing a really good job with that safety position. And Cole Bishop is definitely the best player on the defense this year. And I don't know if any of us saw that coming so quickly.
No, definitely not. I think it's imminent that Shaq Thompson will take over for Milano if Shaq Thompson's healthy. I think it's imminent that eventually Max Harrison will take over for Trey. Yep. I don't think it's imminent anymore that Hancock takes over for Poyer.
No.
I think what you're seeing now is something that can last for the rest of the season. Poyer out there and Hancock in certain pass situations where you can take advantage of his speed, where that they're going to throw the football. Anyway, yeah, I'm with you there. All right, special teams. Normally I would just say, whatever.
Oh, it was a big special teams game.
It was a big special teams day for sure. Mikael Hardman had a 61-yard kick return. Ray Davis, who apparently is Dante Hall now or something, man. 41, 44, and 46 something yards returns. 3 returns for over 41 yards. Also, maybe the only thing more shocking than that is 4 big returns where none of them got called back because of a stupid Dorian Williams or somebody, Joe Andreessen holding penalty on a kick return. That in itself was amazing. So that's all great. However, there is one bad, and it's not just a little bad. Nope. Hardman with one of the worst decisions you'll ever see to not call fair catch. That sent me into a tangent. I've been talking about this all week, Matt. Probably the one time where if there was a hidden camera in my house where you would have saw me lose my shit was that play. The Bills didn't even have their special teams out there. They had their defense out there to make sure that they weren't trying to tush push on 4th and short. They punt it. Nobody's blocking. There's 3 guys in his. He catches the ball instead of say fair catch, catches the ball, gets it, of course, and he fumbles and they lose it. And Tampa scored a touchdown. It was a big, big, big blow for them at the time. Plus, Hardman got hurt on the play. So who knows when we'll see him again. But that was awful. I also put that on Tabor as well, by the way. I don't know how you tell your guy, I will kill you if you do anything but call fair catch on this play. But anyway, that's the black cloud on what was otherwise an incredible day for the Bills on special teams.
Yeah, and Wisnowski had some really good punts. I think he's played his way into a contract extension for 2026. I don't know if he's going to be the punter. They're going to bring in competition for him. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, he's definitely earned another contract in Buffalo, I think. And I think that was pretty clear when they released, what's his name, the other guy that they had that was on IR.
Johnson.
So, yeah. Cameron Johnson. So, I thought he was really good too. Not that we love talking about punters here, but I gave them an A+, but I gave them an A+ for everything that you talked about because every unit was awesome. But then I dropped it a full letter grade because of the fumble. It was the dumbest fumble. I'm glad you brought up that the defense was on the field because it was 4th and 1. And it should make you extra super duper cautious. And so, there was 3 guys 10 yards from him when he caught that ball. It wasn't like you said, nobody was blocking, at least not well. So it's just go out, live to fight another day. You don't have to make something happen on this play. It was completely unnecessary. Just fair catch it and live to fight another day. So B+ after all that.
It was one of the dumbest plays of the entire season.
The
Maybe
scream.
it might have been the dumbest play of the entire season, that punt.
And that's saying something. Josh Allen did a two-handed pass like earlier in this game that was like no chance. Like, so Hardman's fumble is like being dumber than that is pretty big.
Maybe the difference for me, though, is that I'm putting more on the coach. I'm putting more on Tabor because Hardman really wants, he had that big, juicy kick return. He really wants to make that great first impression. He's trying to do too much. Sometimes as a coach, you got to reel your player in. You got to save them from being their own worst enemy. And that should have been very, very clear before the play even happened. But anyway, all right, let's move on to the coaching. That aside, I thought this was, I'm not going to get into it for a fourth time this week, but I thought specifics. I thought Joe Brady had a great game. I gave him his flowers. I called it the Joe Brady redemption game because I thought getting the running backs involved, the way he used the receivers, some blocking schemes, I thought it was just a great, great game for Joe Brady. Defense, didn't love. I got to give a shout out to Tone Pucks. He brought this up to me. Too many light boxes. Like Tampa's running the ball down your throat and you're staying in a light box, playing that nickel, living and dying by it. But, man, they just didn't want to get beat deep. I don't know, whatever. And then special teams was good. Minus, one thing, his team was ready to play. McDermott had balls. It takes a little bit of balls to bench Keon Coleman. That could have been handled internally, and he could have got fined or something like that, or, a whole series or a quarter. Could have sent him a quarter. Sent him out the whole game. Sent a message to him. Anyway, coaching, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I gave him a lot of credit for doing the Coleman thing. I gave them an A overall. What they dialed up on offense was great. They let Josh Allen, be Josh Allen. So again, that was great. They made that change to take Solomon off the field in the second half. So they adjusted in game too, which is not something we always see from this particular defense. But they really do need to figure something out with the run defense. And so, A might be too strong based on what the Bucs were able to do to that run, to the run defense. But I really liked what they did in totality.
Yeah. What was your grade?
A.
I'm with you, man. This was a must-win game. And again, I thought the coordinating for the most part was great. The message was great. And they came out there and they look good. All right, I wanted to save the last few minutes here for Houston. I know we only got a couple minutes here. Yeah. They're 5-5, okay? It looks like C.J. Stroud's probably not going to play. We're not going to officially declare him out, but it certainly looks that way. They beat the Jags a couple weeks ago. Look, they've lost 5 games this year, and I went and I looked. Rams, Tampa, Jags, Seattle, Denver, all were one-score games. Davis Mills, whatever. They got 2 running backs, Nick Chubb, Woody Marks. They got a stud receiver, Nico Collins. I don't care. This is the challenge for the Bills right now this week, coming off a short week, is the defense. Houston, and I was looking this up while you were talking about the coaches. I had to make sure. So I was like, whoa, I didn't realize this. Houston's got the number 1 defense in the NFL.
Yep.
They got the 3rd best rushing defense in the NFL. They got the 3rd best passing defense in the NFL. Ain't no weaknesses on that defense. They got Danielle Hunter with 9 sacks this year. Will Anderson's got 8 sacks this year. Stingley's one of the best corners in the NFL. Petrie, who missed last week, he had a concussion. He's questionable for this week. We'll see if he plays. But even without him, this is going to be a test because, you're like, oh, Davis Mills, go beat Davis Mills. Dude, this ain't the Carolina Panthers or the Miami Dolphins, man. This is a legit defense. And if you make mistakes, they're going to make you pay. This is a great, great, great defense that the Bills are going up against. That said, you're a better team from 1 to 53 than Houston. I don't know. What are your early thoughts in this?
Yeah, it's mostly around the offensive tackles. Spencer Brown and Deion Dawkins need to be excellent in this game because that Houston Texans pass rush is so good. And Josh Allen has to get rid of the ball this week. I don't know if he's going to be able to do his creation run around as much as he would like to. And so it's going to be about timing this week and getting the ball out of his hands. the Rams only scored 14 points on them. The Bucs scored 20, the Broncos 18. Like, they've been holding folks down. And Seattle scored 27 points on them, but also committed 4 turnovers, and they were 2 of 14 on third down. So, like, you could say, oh, Seattle was successful. No, they weren't. They turned it over 4 times and were 2 of 14 on third down. They just had some really big plays from Jackson Smith and Jigba, and Buffalo doesn't have him on the roster. They don't have anyone close to him on the roster. So it's going to take a really concerted effort on the offense to get the ball out of Josh Allen's hands as quickly as possible, which is not usually what we think of when we think of this offense. And so it's going to be tough sledding. What would be really nice is if we could get, like, you know, a defensive score in this game and like really turn the tide early to force the Texans into passing more. And then again, feeding more turnovers.
I'm looking right now at their at them statistically, and you brought up a great point. I would argue the key of this game, not counting Josh Allen, he's always going to be the key to the game for the Bills, but the 2 tackles, Spencer Brown and Deion Dawkins, boy, oh boy, are they, that's going to be huge. Those 2 guys got 17 sacks between them for Houston. No one else has more than 1.5 for the season. And then again, this is a short week too, so boy, man, I'm looking right now. What's the over-under in this game? Because you said you had a parlay where Gabe gave a score and a touchdown. I'm already in the mode of whatever the under is, I might bet it in this game. What is it? It's 43.5. I don't know. That's low. That's low.
I don't know. Like, it's going to be hard. And so I do want, like, to attack that middle portion of the field. It wouldn't surprise me at all to see them keep Ty Johnson and Dawson Knox in the backfield again this week to provide that extra pass protection. But again, that's going to limit, because like they do have Derek Stingley out there. Like, I mean, it's going to limit what they're able to do in their passing game. And so I know that Dalton Kincaid might be like a 50-50 to play, but it wouldn't shock me at all if they didn't say, hey, if he re-aggravates it, we got 10 days off after this. Because normally our thought process is give them the extra 10 days to get right for the stretch run. But because of how good this defense is, it wouldn't shock me if they maybe push Dalton Kincaid to play, knowing that he's going to get the extra rest on the back end of it.
Yeah, you know, and listen, this has got to be, there's maybe 3 games a year where you just need the defense to play really well. And this feels like maybe this might be one of them. Like, you can't count on putting up 30 against Houston. It's doable, but I don't think you can count on it. Because in Houston, I'm looking now, they really don't score a lot, although they did have 36 2 weeks ago against the Jags and 44. Well, they played a Lamar Jackson-less Ravens team in that game. So I'm not going to. All right. Plus, that whole defense was decimated.
I've got Nick Chubb deep on my fantasy bench. I mean, this might be the week to actually play him. Just saying.
No, leave him there. Leave him there. All right, guys, we're done with this episode. Keon Coleman, defensive edge. 2 polarizing positions or things going on with the Bills right now. Again, a short week. Appreciate you as always. Make sure you go check out SB Nation. More specifically, for the purpose of this show, Buffalo Rumblings, your one-stop shop for all things Buffalo Bills. Follow Matt on Twitter, X, and of course, Blue Sky as well, at Matt Rich Warren. Thanks, brother. Appreciate you, man, as always.
Yep. Have a good one.
All right, guys, I'll be back. Not sure who's going to be on the show tomorrow, but someone will be. And we're going to have a full, feels weird to say that on a Thursday show, but a full Bills Texans preview. Talk to you guys tomorrow.